Hey guys, welcome back to JCS Projects. In this episode, we're gonna get the old Firebird back up and running again. It's been sitting for a little bit since we got back from our road trip because I had to pull the carb off of it to give it back to my brother, so I haven't had a carburetor for it. We rebuild one in this episode, get it running. We also have a new aluminum radiator from AlloyWorks. It's got electric fans. We make a bracket and put it together. We finish up the exhaust. We get that flex pipe off of it. Nothing left to talk about besides actually getting it done. So let's start working on it. Whenever we went down to Arizona, I didn't bother putting coolant in this thing because, well, what was the point? We're going to a desert. Well, now that it's, well, getting down to like 20 degrees here, and we're starting to get the old Missouri weather going, I had to drain it. So I drained all the water out of it, pulled some plugs out of the block, took the heater hoses off, blew air through them to get all the water out of them. I'm sure it's still gonna decide to dump water all over me. Pop all these hoses off. Everything should come apart because it hasn't been together that long. This is a trend with this one, is take it apart, put it back together, take it apart, put it back together. So. Ew, but it actually feels like it's pretty dry, so hopefully I won't make a huge mess for once. I don't believe that in the slightest. Forgot that this was still in here. This is the fuel line we did when we thought the car was having fuel issues, and there's a fuel pump still sitting down here, hooked to nothing. Can finally get all that off. What the hell did I do? Why would I get this sucker? How did I tie that up? Okay, I'm not asking anymore. There we go. Oh, I see. It was actually getting held in by the actual tab portion. It was just back in on itself. Oh well, see, do too good of a job. Get this out. That ain't right. Shroud. Now I want to keep this. I did buy a piece that goes across the top of here that is supposed to be for this year range of Firebird. When I find it, you'll see why I say the words supposed to be. Oh, here it is. I bought this. Mine has 4 bolts because it has the built-in shroud, but this was supposed to be for an F-body, and it may be, but it definitely doesn't fit mine at all. Not even a little bit. It's not the right angles. Once we get the other radiator in, what I need to do to cut this to try to make it work, or come up with some other plan, because this doesn't even remotely work. That is a tiny radiator. I don't know what that's for, but it's not for this. So I'm gonna have to measure it and see if I can come up with something, or just put a piece of metal on it. I mean, hey, the rubber fits. That's always nice. Wedge this in here. Look, I feel like I just put this on. Still haven't quite figured out what I want to do. Do I build a nice little small block? But I do have another big block. It's from a boat. It's a marine one. Only thing with that is that's going to put a lot of weight on the nose of this thing. And it actually already sits pretty low to the ground on the front and the cross member. Excuse me. Thank you. Don't hit me like that. So I've been contemplating whether I should actually put it in, but I do. I think I'd almost have to change the springs because the weight difference is going to be enough that it's going to be noticeable. But aluminum headed small block versus a cast iron big block is a big difference. Tell me what you think. I think a big block in this would be awesome. I think it would be fun. And it'd be different, and it'd probably make people angry, and that makes me happy. Makes me smile. Small block or big block. It's going Chevy. I'm not doing a Pontiac. Nothing against Pontiac. I don't have the money to do a Pontiac. The only way I could do the Pontiac is if I sacrificed the Grand Prix out there. And even then, that's expensive. Oh, of course. Had to make a mess there. Are you gonna stop? No? Okay. All right, one nice thing is this is a manual, so I don't have automatic transmission lines to worry about. I think she got a few miles on it from the trip. There's a few families of grasshoppers in that radiator. We got it out. Let's go see what the new one looks like. Let's open this thing up. Fragile. This is the same brand that I've had in the truck, and we drove all the way down to Tucson. But it was actually, I believe it's only a 2-core This is a 3 or a 4 core. It's actually bigger. I wanted the bigger one for the big block. Oh yeah, well, that's a good shot. Look at that. I'm sure there's something important. Look at those fans. That is put together well. Cool. But I need it for the clearance. Big block sits further forward. I don't want to run a mechanical fan. And I can't really run a mechanical fan. Nothing's gonna light up. So the shroud won't work. So we get this, and let's put this bad boy in and see how she sits down in there. All right, compare factory to aluminum. So they appear to be the correct width. Look at the core. So this is 4 core, and they are just as thick, but aluminum. Transmission cooler lines, which I don't have to worry about, but many of you do. Clean petcock down there. It's the same height. Stand that up. Both radiators stood up. It is going to be a direct drop in once I figure out how to secure it in the car, since my particular car doesn't have that. It's good. I'm excited to get this in. One step closer. Let's see how this sits down in there. Got the rubbers in there. Oh yeah. What am I hitting? Alright. I'm gonna have to do some massaging, I do believe. Oh, that's a lot more space. I just got a little bit touching down here. Oop, that's a pocket knife. This is what I'm after. This has been my everyday carry light from Olight. It's called an arc field. Look at arc field, made by Olight. I've been carrying this thing for a couple months now, and it's awesome. It is bright. It's got a laser pointer, you know, for when you want to play with your cats. But the light itself is great. It's heavy. It's got a magnet, you know. It's been one of my favorite. I almost always have a light. Always used to carry the pocket screwdriver type lights whenever I was a truck mechanic. And this one, it's flat, it's square. It's about as perfect as I can ask for. Bright, extremely bright. Definitely one of my favorites. You can actually get this from Olight.com. They've got gun lights, they've got undermount lights, they've got all kinds of big flashlights, small flashlights, carry flashlights. Just check out what they have, and you can use the code JCSProjects10 and get 10% off. Olight, go check these guys out. They got good stuff. Back to this. I am going to have to massage this corner over just ever so slightly. It lines up with the rubbers perfect. So once I get this to drop down, it's gonna sit perfect down in there. And then I just gotta fit a top on. But man, doesn't that look good in there? That is pretty slick, man. Well, we're getting this together. I wanna start getting ready to rebuild the carburetor on it. I bought one of these guys. I don't know if you guys have used one of these before. One of the ultrasonic cleaners. It's not like a good one, but it was on sale for $100, so I figured I'd give it a shot, knowing I need to clean this carburetor out. Comes with some natural latex gloves. I'm sure they will not fit my big ass hands. Bought some baskets for the little parts. A manual. Don't need that. I did some research trying to figure out what to use for cleaner in it. So if you guys have any better suggestions, go ahead and let me know. But this time I'm just gonna use simple green, just regular old degreaser. I have no idea how much to actually put in this thing. Probably those instructions might have let me know, but who needs those? Yeah, that's the good stuff. How hot does this get? That's a lovely sound. 80 degrees C, whatever that means. All right, well, let's let that warm up. Had all the grease and nastiness on the outside of it, and I didn't want to just drop that down inside the parts washer there, so I've been letting it soak over here. And hopefully, be able to take this. Oh yeah, that's working nice. So we'll get the most of this outside junk off of it, spray her down, and then we will go actually stick it in the parts washer. Let's get this set up here, and I'll do some scrubbing on this. up to 24 degrees. It's getting warm. You actually pick it up. Ooh, steamy. Now, to clean this thing, I'm trying to figure out a good spot to put you, where to start. I'm just gonna start by taking random stuff off. Well, it's not up to temperature, but I'm impatient, so I'm gonna go ahead and start putting stuff in. Holy cow. I don't know if you can overload these things, but I guess for this load, we'll just leave it with what's in there. Heat, 30 minutes. Oh. Now we're waiting on that. Let's see if we can get the radiator actually in this. It is dang near in it. I need to make some adjustments. Just like most aftermarket radiators in general, it's not factory, so it is a skosh too wide. So you gotta do a little massaging. Barely touches that one and that one. We'll get our persuading device and persuade it a little bit. Barely touching. Once we get it dropped down, it'll sit down in there perfect. Let's see how that actually fits down in there now. Grab my rubbers. Never want to lose your rubber, guys. That's gonna need more than some hitting with a hammer. I got the clearance side to side now, but she's too thick. This side, completely perfect. This is getting a little in depth. I gotta cut this corner off. It's hitting this front piece here. I'll show you that in a second. I think that's gonna get it. In there. Nice. Got plenty of clearance over here. I just need to make a plate to hold that down. I'm gonna cut them right along here and keep those for the rubbers. And that's what I'm gonna try. All right, let's go see if those will bolt on. Well, it's not exactly perfect. I need to get to this and then over. Or I just need to get a piece of flat steel and make a whole end all for myself. But this is a start. It's in there. It's just not in there very tight, but it's in there. Well, this has gone off. Got some nastiness on top of it. Ow. Oh yeah, look at that. That's crazy how well that cleans. Looks like brand new. Spray this stuff off and blow it off. Wipe it down. Look how clean all that is. Okay, I'm excited now. I know people use this stuff all the time, but it just totally baffles me how well this works. And fire it up. Turn the heat back on. Look at that. Look at the crap on top of that. So I didn't clean this base plate off very much. So let's get a before and after. Let's go see if we can finish the radiator up. Since this is back together, we can toss that on, get the radiator in it, but I have to make a bracket. So let's see if I can figure out how to make a top plate to hold that down. Because I mean, I could get this and it'll run now, but this is not That's not gonna suffice. That will work for running it sitting here. That is not gonna work for it actually running down the road. But I'm gonna try some angle. I got a little bit of an idea. Hopefully it doesn't look too bad. I am not a fabricator. We will see how that works. This wouldn't be a problem if your particular F-body didn't have the plastic shroud. I can't use what was already here without cutting it apart. And I don't want to cut that apart. So I gotta come up with something different. But here we go. 3 inches will get me where I want. Well, actually, I gotta see how wide are those. Those are 3.5. All right, got that kind of setting where I want it. So I'm gonna put the rubbers here, put 2 strips of angle. If I can figure out how to read one of these here tape measures, about 26.25. Let's go with 2 pieces of small angle at 26.25. And the angle I'm gonna use is this guy right here. And I'm gonna use that strap on it. You'll see my thought here in a second. Let me get 2 pieces of 26.25. My new toy. We're all about efficiency and speed around here. We're about comfort level. What did I say, 26.25? 26.25. Here. In theory, this should cut pretty nice. Don't put shit in your mouth you don't know what it is. It tastes awful. Well, that worked. That worked well. Well, they're relatively the same length. I put this whole thing down in there. Which will be way overkill. Put that down in there like that. I can just tack it in, see how it sits. It's gonna be way overkill and really heavy, but I can put another piece here and there, and then I would just need some sort of tabs to mount it down. But that would smash it up against it and I could smooth it out and make it look nice. Paint it black and it'll look just fine. Hell with it. Go big or go home, right? Never said I was some sort of fabricator. Cut the end off down here. Let's see what this looks like. I'll set my rubber. Don't ever work without rubbers, guys. Now, I don't think that looks terrible. I actually don't mind that at all. And then I can still do my tabs, because that's what I was looking at doing there. Tab straight across the top, lay it on here, weld it across the top. Decided that 5 inches is the magic number, at least for this. Hope 5 inches isn't the magic number. Alright guys, if you ever come to this channel thinking you're going to get some sort of fabrication or welding advice, just run. Don't do it. The stuff is stuck together, and with some grinding and some black paint, it'll look all right, but it is by far not good. For what it's doing, for what it's holding, it'll stick together. That's my piece. I gotta grind it up and smooth it out, then shoot some black paint on it. So I've been just buttoning up the carb. I didn't bore you with it. It was just hooking up the fuel line and bolting it down. But a little development, that nice, clean, new carburetor that I had, it grew some stuff all over it. It wipes right off, but apparently the simple green might be a little rough. It works, but it might be a little rough on it. She looks awful, and it's this powdery crap, which is probably not good, because if it's on the outside, it's also on the inside. So hopefully it doesn't have any effect. I don't know if it'll plug anything up or do anything stupid. That's what I'm doing. It's all buttoned up. It's got the nice bracket. Throttle linkage is all hooked up. No full bore. I bought me one of these guys to fill the bowls. That is convenient right there. I always see everybody using these in the videos. I didn't realize what they were. And there's a paint gun cleaner. Fill that bowl through the vent. Fill that bowl through the vent. Anything? Well, that's not comforting. It's not moving that much at all. I think I'm gonna have to tighten that up, because that's not even moving my accelerator pump at all. I mean, not even a little bit. That's because I think since I tightened it down, the carburetor is sitting on the intake. I need a spacer. What do you guys see? Sure looks like it's sitting right down on it. Okay, I need a thicker gasket, but this thing is also pouring fuel out of it somewhere. I'm gonna have to move the carburetor up, but I think there's a bigger problem. I'm getting fuel leaking out of the throttle shaft whenever it does spray the accelerator pump. So to me, that means the bushings or something. I'm not exactly sure what's in the ends of the throttle shaft on this carburetor. I know on Quadrajet that means everything's all worn out and they need to be bored and bushed, and then you put it back in. So tuning this, if it does run, I will either A, always have a fuel leak there because it leaks pretty severely, or B, it's gonna be sucking air, and it's not supposed to be sucking air there, and that base plate might be wore out and I can't do it. I have another one of these carburetors. I might be able to put the base plate on from it onto this, but that means assembling everything again. I just popped the carb back off, and you can see that little bitty nick right there. The accelerator pump was hit. So it's not gonna take very much at all. This is the exact same height, so. And if you look at the throttle, I don't know if you guys can see that. Moving up and down right there. So it's got a decent amount of movement. Go over to this one, which hasn't been cleaned yet, but I'm gonna clean it. Took this off another carb I had, and I checked the throttle movement on it, and there's nothing. I can't, it opens and shuts fine, but I can't get any wiggle room out of it right here. So I just think the base plates wore out on that one. Conveniently, we are on carburetor base number 3. So I went over to my brother's.
This is fun.
Oh my god! Wait, is that a gas tank?
Oh, it's empty. It's out of the Grand Prix.
Holy crap, that's hot. Who would have guessed? Fire hot. Oh. And got this carb as a donor carburetor. He's got half a dozen of those things, because this one that we cleaned out the other day, it's froze. I'm still gonna try to break it loose. Even after manipulating it, soaking it, cleaning it, it's still just very stiff to turn. So this one moves free, doesn't have a bunch of play. So I'm gonna take this carburetor apart, I'm gonna clean that again, clean it all up, toss it all together, and hopefully we can get the carburetor on that so we get that off the lift. So I've got the new to me base plate off. Look at that. Look how easily that moves. Compared to what that looked like before, I just pulled it out of this cleaner. Nice movement. Nice wiggling. And no, I mean there's play in that, but that's not the shaft. No play in the shaft. Ultrasonic cleaners, they are pretty awesome. It's amazing how well they work. While we wait for that stuff to heat up and I go clean the carb again, or the base plate, even though these are amazing, I'm going to attempt to do exhaust. Now I bought a generic kit of different exhaust pipe angles of actual 2.5, so I don't know how well this is going to work, but I'm gonna try to take this off, cut just this here, pull all this off that I did, and actually run. I've got some V-band clamps I'm gonna put on here so I can bolt it here and bolt it here. But I'm gonna try to run real exhaust pipe instead of this, even though this stuff worked fantastic. So let's pull this old stuff off and get some new stuff up in there and see what we can make. So I came over here to cut that off with my bandsaw, but you guys gotta beware. Watch out for broken rubbers. Don't try to use ones that are too old. They just crack out and fall apart. It's dangerous. Don't use old rubbers. Use fresh new rubbers. That worked really well. That worked really well. Looks terrible. But now I should be able to take that so I can take my 2.5-inch exhaust that I have over there, slide over this and weld it instead of having to try to go way up here after cutting it off and button it up. It'll overlap it. So gotta do one more and we'll be good to go. Getting close. Get that there, get a little bit off that top side. Got back on this, and that's why it's gonna be on this side. The joint looks like crap, but it's gonna work. I'll be able to weld it up. But it goes back to a V-band, so I can bolt it there. Had to walk away from it for a little bit. I was not able to come up with something to do, so I went and did the carburetor, finished it up, and came back, and this is how I came back with. So I think this is gonna work. Now I just need to figure out what to do with this short little bit. That's about the shape. Don't worry about that little guy. That will get filled in with just a piece of scrap. But I've got it tacked up there if I can get it out of here without messing it up too much. I got it tacked there, tacked to the flange. I'll tack this back portion and then I can pull it out and try to fill it in and grind it all smooth. But that's roughly what that side's gonna be, and that's roughly what that side's gonna be. Not too bad, I think it'll actually work. And I'll have full exhaust pipe instead of flex pipe. See if we can get this line back up. Don't miss that. Hold that there. There. It's gonna work, I promise. Alright, now I can pull this support piece off. Ah, boogers everywhere. It'll turn into something, I promise. okay. I'm okay with that. This, on the other hand, I'm afraid of no gaps. A little grinding, and it'll be a thing. But that's my pipe. I'm going to weld up the other one, which is down there on the floor, and go put these things in. I mean, come on, that's not bad. I grounded up some, gasket in there, clamped that. It's gotta be at least a little bit better than the flex pipe. After way too much time, I finally have exhaust in this thing. Actual solid exhaust. It's better than it was. Definitely very amateurish. But if I spent some more time, I could clean that up. But I don't want to spend any more time on it. I'm ready to hear this thing run. Let's go put a carburetor on and actually hear this thing run and drive and see how our new radiator and fans work. We're back out here again. It is a new day. It's actually after the first of the year now. I broke my GoPro, so I couldn't really record anymore. So I ended up getting a new phone and a new camera, plus fixed the GoPro. So in this video, you'll end up actually seeing 3 different cameras. We're back out here. I got the whole bottom end done. The exhaust is all the way bolted in and done. I actually ended up draining the oil and changing the filter while I was under there. Didn't figure you guys cared to see that. We're back here. We're going to finally put the carburetor on, fill up some antifreeze, and I'm gonna go put my controller on it for the fans. It's actually going to end up being the one that goes through the fins, because I think I explained earlier where I have to put it in this for the head doesn't actually work very well with the headers, so it's easier just to put it in here. The intake has a couple ports, but there's a thermostat housing over it, and I didn't feel like changing all that and doing any of that stuff. So the one that goes through the radiator, it works well, works great, perfect, who cares. It is actually really crappy outside, snowing, and it's a lovely day. So hopefully we can get out there and drive around in that for a little bit. One of the most useful things I've gotten. We're using the universal yellow flavor today because, well, that's what I have. Anything leaking out yet? Coolant hoses are tight. So I had to use a space on the carburetor, but I couldn't use a big one because I don't have a whole lot of room from the top of the carb to the flat hood on this thing. So I've got a steel spacer, so I used a gasket, steel spacer, and gasket, and hopefully that combination is going to get me the space that I need so my accelerator pump doesn't hit. So I take this carburetor that was totally nice and new looking, but now looks like it was at the bottom of the ocean. I set that down on there. Oh yeah, with that I've got plenty of space. Okay, well that was fuel. I hate getting these stupid little pieces in here. Sit here and reach, little tiny ass. Oh, and I'm gonna drop the scotter key. My fingers aren't designed for small precision movements. They're kind of clunky. All right, fill up the bowls. Get a little bit down inside there. I bet she'll take off. All right, guys, you watch out here and make sure nothing catches on fire. All right, that's a good start. Top it off with some good old dino juice. Everybody likes a good 1540 in their engine, especially when it's cold outside. It will not idle. We've got oil pressure. What do you think we do? Crack open the throttle blades a little bit? And then I'm going to give it another half a turn out on my mixture screws. It didn't like that one. All right, well, it runs. Seems pretty good. Let's get our fans going and see if we can drive this thing. All right, both fans are running, idling. She's keeping temperature down about 190. Everything feels good, looks good. Oh yeah, right at 190. Oil pressure's good. I'm not gonna lie though, this little 305 sounds pretty good. For all that it is, I love it. No powerhouse, but it runs good. Well guys, unfortunately, it decided to snow on us, and I'm not taking the Firebird out in it. I know, I'm a wiener, I chickened out, but I don't feel like putting it into a ditch just to drive it around out here. So this is where we're gonna have to end the video. We did good stuff, got the car back running, it's driving. We'll have to go take it for a actual test drive later. The exhaust, I think, turned out really well. It's the first time I've ever tried to hard pipe it like that, so I was pretty pleased with that. I'm glad it got done, and with the weather like this, we're stuck inside. I really appreciate everything you guys have done for supporting my first few episodes. I know I haven't done anything in a little while. We are really going to hit it, and we're gonna do multiple videos a month. I'm gonna do as many as I can do, most once a week, but I'm gonna say more like 2 a month. But I really appreciate everything. It's been fun, it's gonna be fun. We're gonna work towards going back down to Tucson this year with a couple projects, and I think we're gonna try to do it in that. We're gonna drive the motorhome down there. Tiffany and I are gonna go down with a project on a trailer. That'll all be introduced later. Thank you for AlloyWorks for giving us the radiator for this car. It is a really nice radiator. They're great prices. They've got intercoolers radiators. Use the code JCS for 5% off whenever you check out. And thank you for Olight for this guy. They give me JCSP10, I believe is the code for it, for 10% off orders for them. Thank you again, everybody. This will be my last one. Supposed to be for the new year, but heck, it's already the new year, so to the next episode.